Hello again everyone, Murray the Pie Man here to carry on our Myst walkthrough. Now, if we remember, last time I looked up, I was up in that tower and I got a combination which I believe was 724. Now, yeah, for full disclosure I have nipped up there and checked it, but we shall see if I got it right. So, 724. First of all, we've got to open this door. So I turn that, and you'll actually see, I managed to miss that last time, we'll see it a lot more again. That opens up the main door. Before, in the original hypercard based version of the game, that was just a movie. It always jumped to look at that, as you didn't have as much choice of what you looked at. In Real Myst you can actually ignore a lot more things. Now I know where I'm going in this one. I'm going to this log cabin here. Like I say, there are some advantages to this that I know roughly what I'm doing in this compared to other things. So I shall have a look around this log cabin. There's a... In fact, I think in the original one there was some sort of bed in it, but in this is just a bare cabin. A picture of a tree, which is that tree that we would have seen had a graphics glitch not been catching us out. Oh, butterflies. Which is that tree around here. It's kind of in a little walled garden. And now, if I've remembered the combination correctly, and that's what we have. I looked at it a few seconds ago, so I hope I'm not getting old. It was 724. So here we have. Again, one of these lovely little anachronisms, a sort of more modern looking stave. And here it is. And what's in there? A box of matches. Which we have taken one and accidentally, by moving it, lit it. So, oh heck, we're kind of running now. Oh, and I've lit a pilot light. So I've actually done that almost by accident. So if you look, we've lit that, but nothing's happening. But there is this rather convenient looking wheel here, which we can turn, and that turns up the gas. And all of a sudden, you can hear a kind of hissing and clanking noise. And if we go out and look at this tree, we suddenly see it's rising up into the air and there's some sort of compartment in it. Now, believe it or not, I'm actually going to drop this back down for the moment, because one of the things I'm going to do first is read some of the books in the library, or specifically the one about the age we're about to go to. Now again, we have these advantages that I have played this game before. In fact, I arguably know my way around this game more than I know my way around the island. In fact, if we look around, let's see, there it is. A tree slowly sinking back down. A odd thing to see if ever there was one. We do have lots of nice wildlife. One of the other things that we will hopefully see in this version is that weather actually changes in Myst, which it didn't used to. But what I'm going to do is read these books. Now, each of these books refers to one of the areas we're about to go to. When I first played this game, I actually spent a good while just sitting in this library reading the books. However, for the purposes of this, what I'm going to do is read the appropriate one for the age I'm going to be visiting. And they do use this term ages a bit. And then we're going to visit it, and hopefully that will give kind of nice that will give us a nice connection between the age we're visiting and sort of an immediate connection. So you're not having read a book ages ago and then trying to remember things. So here's the first one, and I will read these. I'm not just going to keep it on the screen and look silently while you try to read them. So you open it up. I have called this age Channelwood, and it is a very different world. Though it is exactly how I imagined it, it is still amazing to see it with my own eyes. Water covers this age as far as I could see, except for a small rocky island. Elsewhere there are only trees, which grow directly out of the water. A myriad of thin wooden passageways are built just above the water and disappear into the forest. I assume they were built some time ago, for they appear aged. I am eager to discover more about this land and its people, but I have arrived here late and I must rest. I'm sure that travel through the book was very tiring for you. I was awakened this morning by strange noises coming from a pathway adjacent to the one on which I had slept. I saw a group of monkey-like people heading in my direction. They had not seen me yet. I did not feel threatened by their presence. Their response to me was one that I would never have expected. After staring at me for a short time, they fell to their knees and began what appeared to be some sort of ceremonial worship. I tried to speak to them, but they did not understand my language. Instead, they indicated through enthusiastic hand motions that I was to follow them. As we walked, I began to notice that the waters below us were changing colours. Slowly, subtly, they would change from deep blue to to muddy orange, then from muddy orange to beautifully clear. I was so intrigued by the waters that I hardly noticed that we had arrived at a ladder. Climbing the ladder led us to their village, which is about 10 metres above the water, and can only be reached by rope ladders that stretch from the lower paths to the village level, approximately halfway up the grand trees. It is very interesting watching these people carrying out their daily tasks, even if after watching them for hours I did not exactly understand what they were doing. At sunset they motioned for me to follow them. I followed the creatures to the doorway of an enormous hut. Strangely, once inside I found that the hut appeared even larger than it had from the outside, because it's a TARDIS. The walls were garnished with bright metals, and in the centre of the hut sat the leader of these people. At least he appeared to be their leader, for he sat a metre off the floor in a thick throne. Guards surrounded the strong creature, who was dressed in many exotic, colourful fabrics. Next to the leader sat a very old human. At least to some extent he appears human. His hair, which was only on his face and his head, was completely grey, almost white, and hung very low around his frail body. His thin head hung limply by, an almost grotesque neck that could not hold its head up to look at me. But what a surprise! This creature could speak my language! Shortly thereafter, I was given a bed with some hand motions that looked to be telling me to go to sleep. I look forward to learning more. As I suspected, the ancient creature is a human, but he is old beyond his own reckoning, and seems almost insane. However, the tree dwellers almost revere him as a god. They are treating me now in the same fashion, which makes me feel very uncomfortable. It is almost impossible to understand this old man. His voice is feeble but wild. He has adopted much of the language of the tree dwellers. He himself told me he had not spoken our own tongue in ages. He attempted to explain to me the history of this place. The following is my best translation of what he has told me. Translation. I am doing the hand motions. Many years ago, the humans and the tree dwellers lived together in this place, which was then a vast island. They interacted very little. The humans dwelt on the ground, and the tree dwellers lived high above the humans. Occasionally the island was disturbed by mysterious rumblings which happened randomly, some sort of tectonic or volcanic action, I suspect. The sometimes slight, sometimes heavy tremors would only last a short time. Then they would stop allowing everything to return to normal. One day things changed. The rumbling began and grew so quickly to unprecedented levels. Soon it became apparent that the entire island was sinking slowly into the ocean around them. Many of the humans died that day, but not before sacrificing themselves in order to stop the sinking of the island. The humans who lived through this catastrophe moved into the trees, where they gradually died out, maybe because they were unequipped for such an environment, but I am not sure. This is the story the old man communicated to me. Although many details are very unclear in my mind, I am especially confused as to how the humans saved the island from completely sinking. In fact, I doubt the accuracy of that part of the story. The island must have stopped on its own, yet the old man believes the truth of the story as if he had been there, and the tree dwellers worship him, and apparently all humans, as if they were heroes or gods. The old man ended our conversation today with an event, which I will never forget. He began gripping my hands tightly and murmuring something about rest and asleep. Then he said, "We had expected you to come sooner." These actions filled me with a sort of immediate dread. Without much effort he stood to his feet and tried to help, but he pushed me away with more force than I imagined his frail body contained. The tree dwellers quietly surrounded him with very solemn faces. Then they kneeled before him. He walked to each and placed a hand on their heads. All the while he murmured words which I did not understand. Finally he turned to me and smiled. Then he closed his eyes, walked out the door and off the narrow path high in the trees. The tree dwellers were silent. They began a procession down the nearest rope ladder. As I was descending, I saw several of them pick up the body. He had fallen onto the lower level of the walkway, and carry it away. He was laying down at the dead end of a short pier-like structure. With the use of some potion, one of the tree creatures lit the pier on fire, and I watched as the flames engulfed him. As the strange funeral proceeded, the water around the pier changed to dull green. This morning I woke, finding it hard to believe the previous evening's events. The water is a dull green, for as far as I can see now, for some reason the water no longer shifts colour, because it's hard to animate. As I wander through the pathways, the creatures watch me, curious to see what I will do next. They are constantly offering me strange objects of affection. I even found food outside the doorway of the room in which I had slept. This is a unique race of beings. I hope to learn their language soon, so I may learn from them. And the text has turned blue. I have lived on this world for 3 months, off and on. The tree dwellers have shown great hospitality. I am even beginning to learn bits of their language. I have decided to return home for an extended stay with my loving wife and sons, and hopefully return with them. However, I am sure Catherine will once again refuse. I think this age would be a wonderful experience for them all, and I, at least, look forward to how Cirrus and Achenar will react to its curious inhabitants. I think we know how, looking at the state of the library. One of them, at least, is not going to like it. Catherine is staying behind as expected. She's wanting an empty. My sons have returned with me, and they enjoy this age very much. They get along very well with the tree dwellers and are picking up their language surprisingly fast. I have no doubt that it will not be too long until they can speak the tree dwellers much better than I myself. I am leaving tomorrow to check on the Osmoian age. Cirrus has suggested that I allow him and his brother to stay. Though the idea unsettles me, I know the boys are growing up rapidly. The hospitality of these creatures is such that I could think of no better place to leave them alone for a short while, so I will consent to the request. I warn the boys not to take advantage of the respect the tree dwellers have for their ideas. They seem to understand my warning, and I have faith that they will follow it. Much to my dismay, upon arriving in the Everdunes, I learned that Pran and her people are continuing to be menaced by the chaotic. I fear for their survival and plan on returning to her shortly. After checking on Cirrus and Achenar, see Everdune's journal for more information. I can't, it was set on fire. After watching Cirrus and Achenar, I see that they are handling things very well, and I think I can put to rest any fears about leaving them in Channelwood again. And for a little longer time. The tree dwellers seem slightly distressed that I am leaving, but are happy that Cirrus and Achenar are staying behind again. I have been gone for over 3 days and have been to many different places. I had to tell Cirrus and Achenar about Pran's death day, and they were visibly shaken, although they only remembered her from their childhood. Catherine suggested it would be wise for Cirrus and Achenar to leave Channelwood for a while, and I have to agree they will be returning with me when I leave again. I have told my sons they will be returning with me in 2 days. They spent the entire night telling me of an adventure they experienced in my absence, and it was rather remarkable. It seems they constructed a boat with the creatures and travelled some way out to the surrounding waters. I enjoy hearing them talk excitedly of their adventures, and are reminded of my own adventures as a child. I finally understand why the tree dwellers have been giving me their inks and insisting I write with them. Looking through some of my past entries, I now see that the inks have changed from the black I thought they were to various different colours. I have shown some of the creatures my journal, and they laughed and howled. I did not know they had such a sense of humour. Even now, as I leaf through this very colourful journal, I cannot help but laugh myself. I may be putting a wee bit of intonation in there. We will be returning tomorrow, so my sons are with the creatures for the last night here. They have told me they would like to come to Channelwood again, and also asked if they can visit some other ages alone, though I will have to think over that request. I believe they have proven to me that they are trustworthy and responsible. Catherine will also have to help me decide whether they are ready for travel alone. For now, I must give my farewells to the creatures. I don't know how long it will be until I visit this age again. And we have some diagrams of his enhancements to the city, a wind turbine, and just some pictures there. So this is colour, and I think it's also kind of an interesting bit of backstory here. So we do hear that, definitely for a while, Cirrus and Achenar seemed like rather nice children. And that Atris was trusting him enough to go and visit ages and live with monkey people and trees. Now, I'm going to leave you the disappointment the monkey people aren't there. Again, remember, this is based on a much more primitive game. These were usually... any scenes with people in them would have been recorded video, and they had about enough skill with everything to get these people get these people kind of appearing in windows and that sort of thing, but not much else. So what we will do, so you then didn't really get any other people appearing in this game. Riven does have a few people running away. There is a sequel, but in this particular game you don't see much of anyone, sadly. Now, normally what I could do is I could run out, jump in the lift, and there's actually a button which will release the steam. But the other way, this is the way I first solved this puzzle, was you fill this up so it's at full pressure, then you drop the pressure right down, and you run for your life, because right up there, this is because I don't like heights, honest. The other thing I could do is turn this up, and I may do it later just to give you a panoramic view of the island. But for now, I shall wait for this to come down to my level and deftly step into it. So, oh, actually, is the button even there? We shall see. So we're dropping into a little underground cavern under this tree. Rather neat. Yes, there it is. So that would have been a Steam release if I'd wanted to take this thing all the way up and then get back down, so I don't have to jump. Incidentally, in the game you cannot die. I'm not sure if anyone's explained that. There are bad endings to the game, but in none of them do you actually die, I can guarantee that. Here we have a book. And when we open it up, it's much like the Myst book. We have an animation of the age we just heard described in text. So this is Channelwood. The trees growing out the water, a treetop village, and we can even see drawings of that windmill that we saw. So it will swoosh. Now if I remember these animations in these books, rather than the Myst one which settled you where you were going to land, these ones actually loop, so eventually we should come back round to the windmill, and then it should start again. Yep, there we are, windmill, burl round again, and back off. So there's that noise again. This is what we call linking, and I'm actually going to have to run through this age twice with you for reasons I explained in the last podcast, the last video. And so for that, I will start filling you in on some of the lore to do with this game. So you're to be standing in a dock next to a big tree. Again, I love in this one it was the atmospherics, the ambient noise that did give you that feeling again of, and the slight mist in there, which is probably some form of anti-aliasing. Down here we've got some switches, so this will be part of a puzzle. What I'm actually looking for at the moment is the big island with the windmill on it. Ah, there it is, rocks down that way. And there's some lifts there as well, so it's clear that Atris and Cirrus and Akinar, possibly even Catherine, did help them with some improvements. So what we'll do is we'll run along here, and we will get this age started. So there it is, a windmill with a little hut, all the way out in this one remaining bit of dry land. You can get a good look in the sun, Channelwood, all spread around there. Lovely. And again, that's one of the things that I did like. I did like being able to read the description of a place and then visit it. It's actually a shame they do mention other ages which aren't there, which always feels like a bit of a con. A good bit of storytelling is that you should never feel like there's a more interesting adventure going on. Apologies if there is a slight jump there to look behind the curtain. I was actually interrupted. But carrying on with this, so we've come into this room, we can hear something running, we can see the vague shadow of the windmill moving stuff around, I think just reflecting there, and we can hear water being pumped. If we actually pull this handle, it shuts off the water, so that's obviously the clutch for the windmill. As far as I know, there's no puzzle related to that. It's just there. There's also a tap here, which we will turn. I can now hear more water bubbling away, which means this pipe going all the way down will now be full of water. Now we're going to have to walk along this mildly unsafe looking walkway. Incidentally, if you're wondering why the tone of me reading the book sounded like a bedtime story, it's not an entirely deliberate thing. The main reason is because I read quite a few bedtime stories to my children, and that's now seemingly my default voice, as I just found out there, for reading out anything. So I do feel sorry to anyone who has anything read to me. Now here we have a generator. This is for a later part of the puzzle. There is a generator in here with a rope, and there's a lift somewhere up there. And that's actually one of this puzzle stumped me for ages. There's a gate here, which I can't open. This puzzle stumped me for ages because I thought we were trying to call the lift down to this level. It's actually a lift to a higher level of the walkways. But you need to open a gate to get down. That spiral thing is a spiral staircase. A very pleasant one too. So at the moment, we're not using that. So the water is diverted, it's going down that way, so that's good. Because what we have to do is find a red or a blue page, but not both. Remember, we cannot carry more than one page. I don't know why either. So it looks like there's something over that way, so I'm going to actually... What I'm actually going to do is find the thing which I'm wanting to put power to. So we'll walk around these walkways. That's the thing there. It's a lift. So we've got a few other parts. So down here, there's a pipe which we want to extend. So there's a number of things we have to do, but I think first and foremost we'll get up into the trees. So we shift the direction on that, and that should now, I'll just backtrack to make sure, we should now have water. Oh no, wait, there's, yep, so again, change the direction of these. So there should now be water flowing to this lift. And if you listen... No, nothing. So if I've done this right, you'll find out, I can close this door, pull this handle. Well, I've done something wrong. So, let's check back. That's fine. That's fine. Aha! It was the first one. Now, in that case, I'll actually solve another puzzle while I'm here. All the water's flowing in this direction. So over here, down that way, we've got a bit of broken walkway and a pipe. The whole thing looks disrepaired and deserted, which is a little eerie. We have a little junction here, and this should mean that this is running. Or if I've been wrong again. No. I'm not having much luck with this puzzle today. Oh yeah, I think it's running to that dead bit of pipe. So, or it might need both flows. We shall see. Yep, so it's currently running there. So again, flick that direction. And now, when I go this way, we should finally hear a first working motor, because these are all water-powered motors. Simple puzzle, I'm just making heavy weather of it. Yep, so you can now hear it. If we pull that... Ah! An extra walkway. And this is because this will be the path to our way out of this age. We don't have to do it in a hurry, I just thought while I'm down here, I might as well get these bits done. Speeds things up at the end. So, we're coming all the way around here, and we can now extend this section of pipe. We don't exactly know why that bit of pipe was never connected, or why that walkway was hidden. We have to assume it was meant to be a security method, since these... What's actually in there is another book. It's a lift up to another planet with another book which will take us back to the Age of Myst. And the idea is these books are meant to be kept in secure places, that only people who are meant to travel there will use them, so you don't have random monkey people escaping and running all over Myst Island. Although arguably I think a lot of people would argue that would make the game a lot more exciting. Quite frankly, what can't be improved by random monkey people? So, we shall head back up to that first switch, just check. Yep, we're set right there. And we shall reset this switch. And when I head along here, just checking, yep. This is one of the advantages of the Real Myst edition, is that you can actually do things like that. You can just glance down, you don't have to select each of those. It was an annoying feature of the puzzle. So we close the door again, because they are big on safety here. And again, in the original game, this was just in that little window, you're effectively a little video being played, which would show you the lift going up, and likewise a video would be played in the opposite way to go down. So, up here, you see we are in the trees. There's a big walkway, and again we start getting some breezes. Now fortunately this is a computer game, because I don't like heights, and if I was actually standing on this bridge, I would be holding on very tightly. And again, another part of this game which caught me was it is a bit maze-like up here, so you have to make sure that you catch everything. Like I say, you've got all these little huts in the middle. I'm looking for a switch, a specific switch up here. Again, one of the upshots of the game is you can't die, so you're not going to fall down. What it does look, however, though, is the place has been quite well and truly trashed, which is a bit eerie. Just nothing keeping you company but the wind breezing through it. And indeed, it was a slight sense of unease in these areas where we've read about it being populated by happy little monkey folk, and yet when we come up here, it's all just in a state of decay. It's broken, no one around at all. And that, I think, is what the game did. I think if you're into it, the game does generate a decent sense of unease. Not the jump scares, it's not that sort of game. You're not actually sitting here thinking, oh good god, is something going to jump out of like that jar or something. It just gives you a sense of something that's been broken and is now deserted. Muscle culture, perhaps. this is probably, at least one of the things with this water puzzle, it's one of the few puzzles that isn't an overblown combination lock. You are actually trying to power things, and I do think that's important. I think it's actually one of the better puzzles in the game. So, still trying to find this little switch. Just having a wander around. Again, in reality, there's no way you would get me across a walkway like that. The upshot of the original Myst was you definitely knew you couldn't fall. So I will keep wandering about. I'm trying not to stall too long in just this exploration. I know it's one of the big criticisms of Myst, is that you spend a lot of time wandering about and even more time backing and forthing. I assure you this is, for those of you not wanting to drink in the atmosphere, this is the only time in this level that we have to do all this running around. The rest of them have better design and in general don't give you that much trouble. I have, however, just run into a wall. Somewhat glad that you don't actually see your character from the outside, because that would be somewhat embarrassing looking. Again, just like I say, we've got all these wee deserted houses. And I think, if we go along here... Aha! So, again up here we've got a door, which I can't open. And we do have another lift, but that's the one that's powered from down below. So, we need to find a way to switch this thing on. And this might sadly involve me milling about a lot until I find a particular switch that will open that door. The upshot for all of you is at least I now know what it's looking for. See, when I first played this bit really confused me. I wasn't quite sure what it was meant to be doing. And so as a result, couldn't get back down to switch the water to that second generator and operate this switch. And so for ages I thought this was just a bit of exploration and colour in this level, that there wasn't actually a page. I was quite surprised to find out there was. I do hope none of you are using this as a walkthrough. Aha! And there's our switch. So if I pull the switch, you can see that spiral staircase there. If I pull the switch, that opens that door. So now, when I find my way back along to there, rather than take the lift back down to ground level, what I can do is run across these slightly iffy looking pathways. Look at it this way, I would not be giving this place a safety certificate. Where am I trying to head? I think it's there. Yep, heading along. I'm sure some of you are screaming at me at the moment. It's over there! It's over there! No, not that way! Not that way! Where's that? Lift. The upshot is, I'll never actually get lost. I'll just keep milling about in circles until I either get there or don't. There it is. So as you can see, that door that I previously couldn't open is now open. So what I can do is I can go down this rather precarious spiral staircase. And actually at this point I'm getting slightly nervous. For all that I know, you can't die in the game. It's still fairly nerve-wracking to go down a spiral staircase with no handrail, ever closer. I suppose at least with the fall now I'm just going to get wet. And I love the change in ambient sound. You change from the noise of the frogs and whatnot to the noise of the wind, rather, to the noise of the frogs. So we're going to run back up here, and we are going to change the water path the opposite way, because now we can go back up this precarious spiral staircase and we will get into the meat. And indeed, I kind of you can now hear that engine running, so that's a good sign. I've got to admit it, the upshot of this in the original Myst was you started at the bottom and jumped right to the top. But I do like being able to climb up and slowly see your way around, for all that it does slightly trigger vertigo, well, at least for me. Good sign, it shows you're immersed. So now when we come up here, we can now open up this lift. And again, love these little touches, like you go into this wooden lift and yet there's a little light bulb in the top of it. We'll pull the handle, this will take us up to the second level. And this is the If you remember reading the book that I read, the second level was where the chief was, so there were 2 levels. I don't think they were talking about that ground one. So we've got 2 paths coming here. And again, you can now hear the wind's quite whooshing. And there is something up in the distance. Now look, there are a couple of huts. So let's first drop into this one. There's a door here. Oop. Well, that was spooky. And we have some masks, maybe some artifacts from the monkey people. Some markings on the wall. And what's this? It doesn't look particularly pleasant. And definitely isn't. It looks like some form of sacrificial altar. How charming. Trying to see if we can see into it. I'm sure. Yep. So, we have one of the brothers with looks of Akinar popping up and saying something in what I think is monkey language. If we go through this door at the back, takes us around. There is a gated door here as well. As you can see that normally this is fenced off from everyone else. There's a secret hatch at the back. And if you go through this, we are going to come to Akinar's rooms. Now each age has a room for Cirrus and Akinar. And I think these give them a bit of an insight into their personalities. So first we shall have a look in Akinar's room. It says Spartan. Aha! So there is what a blue page looks like. So I shall pick it up. You now see my pointer's turned into this little blue page. So he doesn't have much. He does have some farm influence, but also rather worrying. That looks like a shackle. You could just say a scythe, that's innocent. A pitchfork, but the spears, the pointy sticks, he might just be a keen carpenter. I'd like to think that, but the shackles are a bit of a giveaway. Now the other thing we've got in here is this little gizmo in the corner. So if we press the button on it. So, something to do with that hologram that projected, so let's check the next one. And yes, I know what you're thinking. I think someone's been pretending to be a god. Naughty Akinar. Bad Akinar. No pretending to be a god. There's never anything on it, telly.
I hope I pushed the right button. Very interesting device, dear brother. I'm not erasing anything important, am I? He is preparing. Remember, take only one page.
Oh, so this is definitely telling us something. It looks... I wonder who he is. Are they talking about Atris? And this is one of the points that I actually had when I first played this, was that, so you've got Akinar there, it looks like he's posing as a god, perhaps, and there's then a message from Cirrus, who seems to like winding his brother up a wee bit, but also that he is preparing. Now one of the things that I had actually considered when I first played this was that Atris wasn't a goodie. And if you look, if we come out here, then come back in,
I hope I pushed
so
the
it
right
is, it's
button.
the instant
Very
god
interesting
device.
dear brother. I'm not erasing anything important, am I?
So, whether Atris was preparing, that's one of the things I considered, was that the brothers are actually both wronged. It's one of the reasons why I was actually going for 2 pages. The real thing that we have to wonder is, which one has caused the destruction? Now, At this point it looks like it could be both. Definitely Akinar is a bit power mad and is pretending to be being a god. And Cirrus, as we look, so here is Cirrus's room. What a nice door. And unlike the Spartan things of Akinar, there's been some signs of struggle here. There's some broken chairs, but considering Akinar was living in a cell with torture influence, there's some mouldy cheese, an ornate dagger, bottles of wine. I say mouldy cheese, it could be just a... that's what the cheese made to be, but it looks fairly well done. You can't eat it, incidentally, if any of you are curious. So he's actually got here a little basin. That's all very nice. Nice bed, some writing desks. Mink, obviously a man of letters. And then there's the red page. We'll come and get that later. We will have to sadly come back for that. A few wine bottles. Maybe Akinar, Cirrus rather, was drinking a bit. Bottle and a dagger. Never a good sign, someone who sleeps with a dagger under his bed. And here's a half page. Now this is the switch vault access. This is half a note, and these brothers apparently thought they could hide it by tearing the note in half by shredder guys. So again, a family who are not particularly big on security. So what we have is we have one who appears to like the finer things. So far though, I would say Akinar is looking a bit the worst here with his torture implements and his clubs, whereas Cirrus just had a fairly pleasant room. So what we will do is we now have to get this page back to Myst Island. So in that we will jump into here. Up. See? Bad with passwords, but very safety conscious. You have to admire these brothers. Now, there's at least something to admire to them. So I'll jump out of here and we'll barrel down this staircase. Now, this first thing, it should be we'll have to flick a couple of switches to get back to Myst, but the upshot when we come back is we should just have to do a couple of switches to get back up here, pick up the red page and then go back. And this is an annoying part of the game, is the fact that you have to visit every age twice, because unless you happen to want to just get half the story and just collect all of one colour of pages. I had considered, when I'd first thought of doing this, I had considered just going for one set of pages and then kind of at the end doing a sort of blast through every age, but I think this way probably works better. It means I can keep each age self-contained. Now you have heard me using this term age quite a bit, and you are probably saying, Murray, why are you calling all these places ages? It is actually a term from the game's lore. So there's that pipe that we were looking at. So that's the lift we took up, it's now gone. So I'll go down here, pull this switch, so just make sure we've got water going in that direction. That I will go into when I start talking a bit more about the game's lore. Because there is a lore with this. It's actually published in... well, it's through all the games. There are 5 official games with Myst somewhere in the title focusing directly on this. There is a 6th game called Uru, which was designed as a massive online... a game where you could play through solo but also solve puzzles online as part of a group. Indeed, you can actually download that for free under the name Myst Online Uru Live. Finally, there is also 3 tie-in novels, all called Myst. One Myst, the Book of Atris, one Myst, the Book of Tiana, and one Myst, the Book of Dunny. What I am going to try and do is avoid spoilers for any future games, but I will refer to some of the books. I've only read the Book of Atris and the Book of Dunny. If you can find them, do read them, it's been a while. So as you can see, this book's got Myst written on it. And that, initially I was like, oh, it's rotating world. That's, of course, the roof of the library. So, we nip back to the library. And hopefully with a bit of loading, we will materialise, safe and sound, staring at the ceiling. And then I shall look down. So we've got a blue page, so we should get a bit more of a message from Akinar.
He returned! He wouldn't return. He just rescued me. I'm Achenar. My brother, I beg you. To be complete. Always blue pages. Listen to him. Now listen to my brother. An egotistical fool and a liar. Bring me the blue pages. The red ones. Don't bring the red ones.
I think they may have had a falling out.
I implore you. I've been wrongfully imprisoned. You must leave. I will have my retribution. Please bring me the blue pages. Pages, please.
So, he has been wrongfully imprisoned in a blue book. And he now wants us to get to the blue pages, but not to the red ones. So, if previously I thought the brothers were working in cahoots, I know they aren't now. They were clearly, one of them thinks the other's wrong. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this thing back up. Turn up the pressure. Hopefully we'll catch it. Give us a vertigo scaling view of the island. So if we go all the way up, I hope this works. I hope this doesn't just make me look daft. We can actually get quite a high vantage point. I think that's enough for me. So that's how we could have got down normally without... No, we still have to switch off. In the original Myst that could actually take you all the way down. I think they have tweaked that for the Real Myst edition. So what we have to do is wait for that to lock to show it's no longer rising. I think there is a way to do it. I think if you turn this not all the way down. I'm a bit of an all or nothing guy in this, so we're going one way or t'other. There we go. Shall just wait for our little tree lift to come down. Again, there is this thing of there's no explanation for how this works. Is it some sort of piston? Why isn't the tree dead? All these things never answered. So we shall now quickly nip through and actually start talking about why we're jumping to different worlds through books. So, one of the things that's covered in the novels and in later games is, and indeed you've not heard him relate, there's a thing called that Atris is part of an ancient species, basically, who lived in an underground city. Oh, and it's got night. So again, this was one of the features of Real Myst, was that you had changing time. You now had things like a day and night cycle to the game, so that's a bit of a difference. We've now got bright moonlight. I'd forgotten this happened in all the ages, and yeah, it's quite pleasant. It was one of the things that I really liked. It gave a bit more to the game than just looking around. It at least has made revisiting the age vaguely worthwhile now that we get to come up here in the dark, although not too dark, I'm hoping. So there's basically an ancient underground race called the Dunai, or Dunay, depending on pronunciations. I'm sure it's pronounced Dunai later, but I think the official wiki says Dunay. And anyway, they lived in a giant underground city. Atris was one of the last of them. One of the things they could do is they could, well, this is where it's a bit woolly, they could write books that transported you to different worlds. Arguably someone would say a good author can do that. So anyway, as a species, this is how they kind of founded things, this is how they explored. Now there was two beliefs in their society. One was that the general belief was that every infinite combinations of ages existed. Once you wrote what's called a descriptive book, those are the books that were mostly destroyed, apart from the ones that we're finding in these positions of protection, these places of safety. These descriptive books, oh, I apparently have a torch. That's handy. The descriptive books would be a sort of description in a specific language written in a special ink on a special paper that allowed you to describe an area and then transport yourself to it. Now normally you keep the descriptive book safe and you'd use what's called a linking book, which is effectively a book that merely refers to the descriptive book. and you could make them up and they allow you to transfer. So that's how we're jumping back, is a Myst linking book. So while there's the book that we came into Myst in is the Myst descriptive book, but we link through it through a linking book in every age, so that's not a whole other Myst book. The idea is, once you've described an age, you pull it from the quantum firmament. I apologise for the abuse of the word quantum, but the idea is there's an infinite possibility of ages to exist, and when you write a link to one, you can access it. Once you have that link, you can, to an extent, alter the age. There were rules, things like you weren't meant to put in contradictions, they caused instabilities. There was sort of whole lore behind the writing. So anyway, Atris was one of these people, and he learned the art from his father. But some people actually believed, instead of you just pulling a pre-existing age, that when you created an age, you were a god, basically. And that seems to be what might have been happening with Cirrus and Achenar. Fireflies, I think. Or graphics glitches. As they thought they were gods. Or some denied it. Ultimately, the civilization fell. But what we now have is a world where you can write a description of an age and wondrous places, and you can even make certain alterations to it, as we'll see in one of the other ages. But if the age becomes too unstable, you'll destroy it, and if the original descriptive book's destroyed, you can never link to that age again. And indeed, if you describe too far off the original age, you can also lose your link to it. So it's very woolly how it's described, in fairness. They weren't going for sort of Neil deGrasse Tyson-proof descriptions. They were just hoping to sort of get this vague idea of creating ages and travelling between them. And so this is it. So the idea is that someone's burnt the library, they've destroyed most of the description book, the only ones that survived are the ones that Atris put in, which are... There are actually 5 ages in this. In the original Myst there were 4. Channelwood, Stone Ship, Selenetic and Mechanical. In this one there's 5, there's a bonus age when you complete the game. With just a bit more colour to it. It was just a bonus for the Real Myst, so that you weren't just buying a graphically tweaked thing. There's a couple of extra puzzles for you to buy when you picked up the game. So that's a bit of the lore of it, is that you have this kind of art to create worlds, and that some people abused it. I don't know how that lift got back down. So we'll take this back to the library. It is one of the upshots, that every linking book from an age links you back to the library. It's only the original descriptive book that takes you to that dock. So at least, while there might be a bit of a trip back between ages, you're not then having to trek around Myst Island too much. So, I shall now see what the red page has to offer. And...
Return.
I have.
Thank you for bringing the red page.
You're welcome.
You must continue to help. My name is Cirrus. I beg you to find the remaining red pages. You must release me from this book which has become. Bring. I need more red pages, please. Beg. Don't waste time. Look. Don't. Brother. My brother.
So one accuses the other.
And I wrongfully imprisoned. Bring the red page to me.
Well, he does seem more stable than Achenar. I do admire Atris's parenting technique. It's one I use myself. If the kids are causing trouble, you give them both. If you don't know who's done it, you give them both a row. It tends to at least stop them shouting. So what I will do is I'll leave it there. On the next one we will go and look at another age. We'll read its description, solve the puzzle to get there, and then go through the actual age again. So we should be looking at potentially another 3 or 4 episodes. Well, actually, I have another 4, because I'll probably cover the end game and with the end game, should I manage to keep these things going, I'll cover end of the game and the last age all in one, because it's not a huge age, there's not too much to it. And similarly, I might also show the other endings that you can get. I might bung in a quick save before you do the final thing, and show you basically the other endings. I'll try to finish on the good one and show you the others. So, as always, if you've stuck through this, well done, and thank you. Like I say, I'm hoping to release more. Do please like and comment to me. If you want to talk to me, not on the YouTube comments pages, I am at Pieman70 on Twitter, so you could always look for me there as well. So until then, thank you for watching, and goodbye.